Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hello and welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm Zoe, and as usual, I'm here with Lizzie.
Hello.
And we are finally able to talk about the Bad Batch Season 2 premiere. It was delayed, like many a
Yes.
Star Wars are, but it's
Mhm.
finally here, and it's amazing. Very much worth the wait, I thought.
Yeah, when they delay it, it's so that we can have the best experience possible,
Yes.
usually.
Oh, I understand, and I appreciate that they're not just going to rush it. But
Mhm.
also, I have major trust issues with release dates. Like all release dates, whenever
They're
there's a release date.
liars.
I know, but like anytime there's a release date for any like show or game, whatever, I'm like, we'll see. I don't trust you, but we'll see.
It's gonna be sometime that month. Don't give me a day. It's gonna be some month.
It's just, give me like a year. Then when you
Okay.
think you got the year, give me a month, then give me a day.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. But we have it now. So we have it.
it's
And
here.
it's really good. We were gifted 2 episodes, um, which is really nice. Out
Yeah.
of, I believe, was it like 13?
14
14 episodes? A
something.
lot of
I think it was
episodes?
an even number. Um,
We had
16. 16, I think it
16. Never mind, that's a lot more. So two out of the 16. So we're gonna be eating good. A Bad Batch.
was.
A lot of Bad
Yeah.
Batch content.
Yes, I'm very excited. Um, yeah, so we had the first 2 episodes, Spoils of War and Ruins of War, together. It was so nice. Spoiler-free thoughts. It was very nice to see the Bad Batch back again. I did miss them, and I also just miss Star Wars animation in general. I
Hmm.
was very excited to have some more of that, and it set up some pretty interesting plot lines to follow throughout the rest of the season, and just had this really interesting like exploring of Star Wars concepts in general that I don't think get touched on very much, especially in screen media. Um, which I think Star Wars animation in Bad Batch season 1 also always did, but it's always nice to get more of it. And yes,
Yes.
fantastic. I thought.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, especially I don't know which episode I liked the most because they were both pretty good. Um, but I just like the animation of Clone Wars has evolved so much and
Hmm.
it always looks gorgeous. I especially just still like seeing backgrounds because like if you can do like a really, really good background, it's beautiful. Like I don't care about anything else. Um like I don't know, I appreciate backgrounds in a lot of things, just like even in video games, like one that pops into my head a lot is like Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda. Like the scenery is like beautiful, gorgeous, and I don't know. I really like stuff like that, and I'm with you. I love the animation and Star Wars and stuff, and I'm really glad that we're getting Bad Batch again, and we get to see Omega. She's growing, and it's very cute. We get to see her grow up in this Star Wars world that's really unforgiving, but it's okay. She'll be fine. And yeah, I'm ready for not spoiler or
Yes,
for
and that's
very spoiler
we can go to
thoughts.
very spoiler. Um, yeah, let me find the Wikipedia articles for these things. Um, Yeah, one thing I really liked was seeing well, I thought Fia Genoa was really cool. She played a very small role in this episode, but I think she'll have more to do later.
Later. Hmm.
But I thought like she already seems like a really fun character. I really like her demeanor, like she just seems very cool. And I'm excited to get more of her. Yeah, I just thought she was super fun.
That was the one that was flirting with Tech, yeah?
Yes.
I loved that scene.
Oh my
I
gosh.
thought it was hilarious.
It was so funny. And she's got like brown eyes. I'm like, I think they all have brown eyes. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, but I like the appreciation for brown eyes because, like, look, I all color eyes are very gorgeous, very cool, very nice. I love the appreciation for brown eyes because brown eyes are beautiful still, and brown is just a beautiful color. And then especially like if you got a little mix of something in the brown, gorgeous as well. But anyway, the appreciation for brown eyes from her, I loved so much, and I was like, hee hee, thank you. um, and the clone, freaking Tech was like, I think we all have brown eyes.
There are a few
And
clones without brown eyes, but I think they just wear like contacts or something.
yeah, they're
Um,
they wanted to be not brown eyes.
they want to be different. And you know what? That's fair.
Yeah. They're gorgeous as well. But yeah, I
Gorgeous.
thought that was really funny. I think Tech is usually like, I'm trying to remember. I know I said it on like my parents' podcast before, but I am pretty sure I said that Tech was like one of my favorites. Did you have a favorite Bad Batch besides Omega?
Wrecker.
That's fair. That's very valid. I think no one's answer is Crosshair, but you know,
Hey, there are some Crosshair fans out there. Let's
mm,
let them.
I don't like them. I don't like them or their Crosshair fan or their Crosshair in general, but that's okay. Uh, I loved the like again the backgrounds, the scenery, the island that they're on. When I first watched the trailer, because they show that in a bit of the trailer, I thought it was a like trailer for a video game. I don't know. I think it was just because like I not recently, but I've been playing Chrono Cross, and Chrono Cross has like also it just updated, and it's like this gorgeous like beach, and it's just so pretty. The water and like the trees, obsessed, very obsessed. Um, and then they're running away from like blue crabs. They're giant blue crabs.
Yes.
I
Yeah, that
love
was a
those
scene we
too.
got to see at Celebration.
Hmm.
Um, which is really cool. And seeing Omega a little bit more in action and her being more confident in her skills with her bow and just in general with combat and not, you know, she's grown
Staying
into that
behind.
a lot, which is really cool.
Hmm.
And she's also doing little studies,
Yeah,
which,
she's being homeschooled
do
by
your
Tech.
do your homework, kids.
Yes. And then you can learn about different freighters and such
Different
in
ships, and it
case you
may
get
come in
second one.
handy. It may
Yeah.
come in handy. It may save your life.
Hmm.
So do your homework.
You never know.
You never know.
But yeah, I liked them getting chased by giant blue crabs. Um, just yeah, I
Yeah, they were
loved it. It was
stealing a
beautiful.
box of something. I don't know. I don't think they showed what the box was in the box.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't know what the
Maybe it
crabs
was a
had.
baby. Maybe it was a baby blue crab.
Baby crabs.
They're very
Yeah, I don't
rare.
know. I don't know what they were taking from the crabs, but the crabs really, really wanted it.
I think they just wanted them, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
So yeah.
Not sure exactly what it was, but they got it.
Yeah. Uh,
But I think that was such a great scene to open on because it gives us a nice little, pretty easy glimpse of like, okay, like this is where they're at right now, doing little missions for money. But also was a great like, it's like you watch that first scene, and you're like, oh, they're back. Like this is a very classic Bad Batch, just little
yeah.
adventure, which
Hmm.
was very fun, and we also got to see all their cool new outfits,
Hmm.
um, which I
Which
like
is
them.
I didn't notice at first, and then but that's because I'm very clueless. and I liked it. I liked the new paint jobs that they had. I liked the new well, the one that especially stood out was like definitely like Omega's outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very cute, very stylish. Love the hat. And yeah, I did not notice, unfortunately, until the second time I watched it, and I was like, oh, he's got a new little paint job there. It's a little
Yeah.
modified a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's part new paint job, having some fun, and also, maybe they're like losing or breaking pieces and need
Yeah.
to replace it with what they got. Um,
I figured that they would have like a newer, well, definitely not because maybe Lucasfilm paycheck, I don't know. But because, they are fugitives and, they look like clones. I figured maybe like lose the armor, but not like lose armor, just maybe make your armor not look very clone like. I don't know.
the vibes are more important.
Yeah,
The
you're right.
the
You're right.
aesthetic
Sorry.
is more important. And to be fair, none of them have, except maybe Hunter, have like clone.
Yeah. It's
Like
just
they're
like
different.
the
Like it's still
essence of
obviously
clone.
clone, like your average dude on like Pantor or whatever isn't gonna look at them and instantly connect it to Clone
Yeah.
Trooper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
I
like
think they're all
I
right and
also
they
think
look
they just
cool.
probably don't have enough money for it as well.
That
But
too. And you know what? They definitely have very top of the line equipment.
yeah.
Like, why would you throw that away?
Yeah.
You know,
I get it. I'm just like, maybe like just
is
in
the
case.
disguise helmet gonna, you know,
You don't
is
know.
the disguise gonna matter as much if it won't protect them like their
New
other
year,
equipment
new
will?
them. Just a little bit. Okay.
Um,
I like their
yeah, but
paint
after
jobs.
their little beach adventure,
Mission.
their little beach adventure, they go back to Sid. Oh, and AZ's there. We love AZ. Just hanging.
Yes. He's a not a bartender. He's like a server.
Yeah,
Living the server life.
I hope he gets good
It's a
tips.
tough life. Yeah, I hope he gets a lot of tips. But also, I'm worried that because he's a robot, they don't give him tips. He needs to make a living too. Batteries are really expensive nowadays.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
Um,
Um,
but
but
yeah, that's where
basically,
tech
we
gets
meet.
flirted with.
Yeah, we meet Fee. And she asked for them to steal a war chest from Count Dooku's castle on Sereno.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, which I like when people steal from Dooku because it's happened twice now. I have two nickels now. Because the not the first time. I guess this is the first time that like timeline wise, I guess that we see
mhm.
like them stealing from Count Dooku's like treasure. But then the second time, which came out first though, is Crimson,
Yes,
Crimson
the
Corsair.
Crimson Corsair.
They go out and they try to steal like Dooku's most prized possession, and it turns out the prized possession was Kix. And I think that's really, really cool.
Hicks
I
is
also
very
just
prized.
like when they go like later on they go in his castle and it's horrifying because he's dead at this point and I don't know why but I was like man that'd be horrifying if like his ghost just popped up.
Oh, you know, for the Force works in mysterious ways. I think Count Dooku is totally haunting that castle.
I would imagine so. I mean, I feel like they should like it should have been like a because there's a whole lot, but it could have been cool. But yeah, horrifying,
Um,
but cool.
yeah, they want to steal. Fee wants them to steal the war chest, and Echo is like in for it. Really, everyone's in for it except Hunter, because
Hmm.
Hunter wants thinks it's too dangerous. He doesn't want Omega to live such a dangerous life. But then they kind of argue, and they're like, "Look, like if we get all this money, then we can't have a safe life for Echo, or for Omega."
Yeah,
Um,
Echo needs to be protected.
So they agree, but then on the ship there, Echo is kind of arguing with Hunter, and because Echo wants to fight the Empire. He wants to
Yeah.
use the stuff from the war chest to get stuff to fight the Empire. But Hunter is like, no, we got Omega,
Yeah.
basically.
We have to take care of Omega.
Mm-hmm. And
Pretty much
Echo,
retire, I think, for
right?
Omega.
Hunter wants to retire, which is fair, but Echo is very, very against it. And
Omega is
Echo
listening.
says, like she's the reason we're doing this. And I think the way Echo meant it was like like Omega's the reason we're free, like we have to fight for her future. Like it's better for her to if we fight to rid the Empire for her future than to just hide her future. But Omega listens and doesn't quite get that. She hears it as like, oh, it's my fault their life is so hard.
Yeah. Which, like, what she's been through and, like, everyone dying around her, like,
Right.
I could understand how she interpreted that. I mean, that's how I
No,
interpreted that. I was like,
that
man, you're a jerk, Echo.
no, I see. I was like, because for a second I was like, wait, but then I was like, it's Echo. He wouldn't say that. I trust Echo.
At first,
Um,
it was like, I understand. That makes sense. Because, he wants to help. Like, he's literally a clone. That's what he's supposed to do. But then I was like, hey, be nice. Say it differently. Because people are
yeah.
listening.
Yeah. So Omega took it. Also, like she's a kid. I think kids can take things very personally.
Yeah.
Um, also, so even though
Especially
Echo
when
didn't mean it
all
that
this is
way,
happening.
right? So even though Echo didn't really mean it that way, of course Omega takes it that way, and he doesn't know she was listening. Um, so they decide to go on their little mission. So they land, they sneak, they see the whole city below of Sereno has been bombed um,
Yeah.
by the Empire. Presumably because, Sereno was, you know, big host for the Separatists.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because we saw what was happening with Separatists last season 2. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I really, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but something I really love that the Bad Batch is exploring, because I feel like so much of Star Wars, Imperial and post-Imperial era Star Wars, like hardly acknowledges like what the Clone Wars were outside of just like, oh, Palpatine using it to get power. Like, yeah, but also there were people who genuinely were like separatists and believed in that. And like
Mm-hmm.
seeing how all that comes to play in the galaxy politically, I think to me, I know a lot of people are like snoring right now. To me, that is so interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could explore that more. And I love that the Bad Batch is doing it. A little bit super cool.
Yeah. I also just like Sereno. Mostly from like uh the
Jedi Lost.
drama
Mhm.
that we listened to with Dooku when he was little. And I don't know. I like a lot of things that associate with Dooku now that I've seen the well first listen to that drama, and then second, what we got from Tales of the Jedi. That was really cool
Mhm.
too. So just all of it coming together is like really really cool. Um but yeah, they're going to go into these giant crates, which I think if Chopper was there, he would have just taken the entire thing.
I was
Like
thinking that, yeah.
all of
Um,
it.
yeah, so basically, Hunter and Wrecker are setting up for like a diversion and stuff. Or no, Hunter setting up a diversion. The rest go into the container. Um, they get asked to have Wrecker go be an extra distraction when some clones start to notice. While Omega, Echo, and Tech keep looking for valuables. Omega, like they find like a chest of like credits and Jules, there's like a lot. There's like so much stuff in just this one giant crate they're in. And there's
Mhm.
like a ton of them. It's crazy, man. They're saying like how Dooku like, you know, stole this from worlds that he got control of
Mhm.
um during the Clone Wars, which I was glad it was a small acknowledgement, but I was really glad they said that because I think people are like, oh, like, like the Republic was right. Like Dooku was actually, or the Republic was corrupt. Like Dooku was actually right, and it's like, yeah, he had a point, but then he did worse. He did, like,
Yeah.
this was not like this. Like the Separatists were not the rebellion. Like they did war crimes for fun, and they exploited and took control of people. Like Dooku was not like a martyr.
No.
Like he had a point. That was like the whole thing with the dark side. Like he starts from a good place, but then you like let things twist you, and then you fall down that path
Mhm.
and become exactly what you were against originally. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's what it's interesting. It's what makes Dooku such a cool character. But you can't be like, oh well, Dooku was right. It's like a little bit, but like he also sucked. We can acknowledge that.
Mhm.
There's some grayness there.
There's
So
a
like
lot of gray in just everything in general.
yes, but so just like the fact that this was like acknowledging like like especially after Tales of the Jedi, which like explored Dooku in that way, which was really cool. To like also remember like have a reminder of like yeah, he was also terrible. Like he also very much was the thing he said he claimed he was against. Like
Mhm.
that was very nice to
Yes,
see.
I agree. Like gray has a couple colors in it sometimes,
Yes,
but yeah.
and it's I don't know. I get annoyed sometimes, but
Why?
oh yeah, people are just like, like oh like I think they're like oh like I'm so smart, like I'm so edgy, like I think the bad guy's right. And it's like that's literally the whole point that he had a point, but you don't just get to be like, well, he said something good, so he's fine.
He's fine now. I mean,
It's like, bro, did you watch the Clone Wars?
yeah,
Not
I
that the
mean,
Republic was perfect,
what do you think
but
about like with Vader then with the whole like his redemption?
I think Vader is such an interesting character. The reason I'm talking about Dooku is because I think Dooku, like politically, was more
Mhm.
that gray because he like had a point. Like the Republic's corrupt, like the Jedi are kind of allowing some of this corruption. But then he goes and like as he gets corrupted by the dark side, he begins exploiting people and taking from them. And like the Separatists were like, "Oh, we have this experimental bomb. We just found these like lemur people. We're just gonna bomb them to see if it works." Like, and Dooku's like, "Yeah, sounds great, guys."
Yeah.
Um, which for all its faults, Republic didn't do that. So props. Um, where I think Vader is harder because he's more of a person. It's very personal with Vader.
Mhm.
Like he has that like, want the galaxy to be a better place, blah blah blah. Like he has that political aspect, but for Vader, like most of his story is very interpersonal. So like,
Mhm.
I think Vader's redemption. It's just like what is redemption? Like
Mhm.
he did good, but like Luke is like, there's still good in him. But even Luke's not gonna be like, yeah, he was chill.
Yeah,
And I
best
think
person.
you know,
Mhm.
and like there's such an acknowledgement with Vader of like he had his story has that powerful moment of redemption interpersonally, but the rest of the galaxy is still like that guy sucked, and I think that's like that thing. I don't know. This isn't about
Mhm.
Vader. I could talk about Vader more
I
when
was just
I have
asking.
more brains.
I was curious.
I mean, like, what
Um,
was your question's like? What do you think about Vader? It's very vague,
I
but
guess like I don't know, 'cause Dooku is a bad guy for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know. To me, it's like the same thing with Vader. Like he was a good guy and he was against all these different things, and then he also just became a jerk. So
Right.
I guess it wasn't really a question. Maybe it was a question. It was just like, what are your thoughts? Are they like the same thoughts for him?
Mhm. I would I would say yeah, probably pretty similar. The only thing is you don't really see the reason I like enjoy when they like make that clear, like remind us about Dooku is because there's like like Dooku's a bad guy a lot, but
Mhm.
like I feel like especially as we get more stories, you get like no one I don't know, I don't say no one, but you don't get as many people being like, oh, actually Vader was right, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I've especially recently, like I see that with Dooku, like oh well, Dooku was right all along, and it's like not really, and say like people don't really say that unless they're like trying to be super edgy. You can really see that like no one's like, well, Vader was actually right,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like no one like we get regular reminders of how evil Vader is. Pretty much
Mhm.
every appearance is like in Obi-Wan Kenobi, he like slaughtered that like dad just like, oh, is Obi-Wan around? Snap. You know,
Bend
where
and snap.
right. Um,
Gotcha.
you know what I mean? Like you don't get
Yes.
people like, oh, Vader was right, or the people like, oh, Dooku was right because Jedi. You know.
Yes. Thank
But
you.
anyway, I just thought that was a good reminder. Like Dooku was also the problem.
Mhm.
You know. I don't know.
Makes
It's a
sense.
very minor line for me to go on this long about, but it's very important. I was like, yes, he did exploit people. Make sure everyone hears that.
He was
Oh,
still an awful guy. He was a
hmm.
bad guy, not a bad guy. Bad
Yeah.
guy.
Well, I think that's what I think it's something that makes Star Wars so interesting is we have so many characters like that where they're right, but they
They did
eventually
something that
become
is
the
not
thing they're
correct.
fighting against,
Hmm.
you know? And it's we have room for this kind of stories, which is really exciting. You just get people who are like, oh wait, you say like, oh wait, like Dooku just like helped someone. I guess he's not evil. Like, no, that's not how it works, man.
Yeah, like he partnered up with Anakin for a little. Not
Yeah.
bad, not
It's like, oh wait,
awful.
like Dooku could have murdered someone and didn't? Well, so he's a great guy then. Where's his Nobel Peace Prize? You
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
And it's the same people who are like, oh, well, Cassie's evil because he like shot someone. It's like, bro.
Broski.
No nuance. But Star Wars will always continue to keep telling those nuanced, interesting stories we can talk about, even if not everyone gets it, and that's okay.
Yes.
But another line I did also like was Omega's like, well, wait, like, aren't we also stealing it? And Echo's like,
And selling it.
yeah, Echo's like, yeah, but we're gonna like Robin Hood this, so it's cool. Or Echo wants to Robin Hood it anyway.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but so the clones catch on that something's happening. We have Captain Wilco is the clone, um,
Hmm.
the captain. Honestly, he was pretty cool.
Yeah, he did
He was,
his job pretty well.
yeah, well, and that was something I noticed this episode too, was how competent the clones were as enemies. Or not, I wouldn't say even enemies, more antagonists in this episode.
Hmm.
Um,
Just how
you
smart
know,
they are in general,
right.
and
Because
work
like
together.
you see like the stuff that happens in this episode, the way they're countering going back and forth against the Bad Batch. Um, like the rebels, unless it was like Thrawn commanding people, the rebels did not have to deal with stormtroopers doing that in Rebels.
Yeah.
They didn't have stormtroopers creating these like counter tactics and like figuring out what they're gonna do next. No. I mean, did they have to fight hard for it? Sometimes. But like when they're like, oh, we're gonna turn off the gravity, and it worked. And like, you know? And so I think, and I'm so glad that they did it with the clones, because we have an entire series of Clone Wars showing us how competent, how incredible the clone troopers are, how well trained they are, how intelligent they are, and like seeing that put in action when we're not rooting for them was kind of intimidating, was really intimidating, and really cool to see that follow up and not just reduce the clones to being, some more blaster fodder enemies.
Yeah, I also just I appreciated the Bad Batch stunning them anytime they could too.
Yes. Very nice of them, even though they were not trying to stun the Bad Batch.
Yeah, they were very much not.
But props to the Bad Batch. Because that was one thing, and I think something the Bad Batch could be very prone to falling in the trap of is like, oh, like we're so much better and cooler than the other clones. Like other clones suck. Like we're just better, which is so antithetical to all of what Clone Wars was, of showing the humanity of the clones. And Bad Batch, I don't think, especially, in this episode, has really not fallen into that trap. Still respects the regs.
Yeah.
Maybe the characters don't always, but the show respects the regs as being still people like they were in the Clone Wars, and very, very good at what they do. Even though maybe like they're not like hyper specialized like the Bad Batches, they're still incredibly competent and a mighty force to reckon with. And I really liked how that was acknowledged in these two episodes of like, like, oh, you're fighting a bunch of clone troopers, like you better be prepared because they know what they're doing. Where, when you're fighting, say, like battle droids or stormtroopers, they might not be quite as competent all the time.
Yeah, but they are ruthless.
Yes.
But yeah, they're trying to steal the treasure in the crate, and they don't
get very much. They grab like one container full of credits, like, all right, this is their stuff. Like,
and then she didn't like Omega had a like backpack the entire time. she didn't use it during that scene.
No, Wrecker grabbed one crate and then dropped it somewhere and left it later. Hunter and Wrecker go out to like, firefight. They're trying to go back to the ship and then go get the others. Meanwhile, like Wrecker like drops the crate to go back to the ship. While Hunter and Wrecker are escaping, they also go into Dooku's office, which is really cool because we had quite a few scenes happen in that office. And so, like, I saw it, I was like, oh, like so many memories. I'm like, oh, like Ventress was there, like Anakin was there, like, oh, what a place.
Yeah, that's the part where even Wrecker was like, this place gives me the creeps. And I was like, exactly.
And I've always thought that office looked pretty cool. Just I love like the window, just very great like set design. Animated sets. I don't know what animated set design is, but animated set design was really cool there. And then they're behind the desk, and I was like watching it, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's like a trap door or something down there. I was like, there's something behind that desk, and then Hunter's like, we're gonna use the lift behind this desk, and I was like, I knew it.
Yeah. I also think that like they all need a class with tech. Like Omega's already doing that, but like all of them need to they need to be in a class, and tech has to be like, okay, so this is how you hack. Here's like something to help you in case I'm not around.
I know Hunter was like, I can't figure out how to do this, but I don't think he was hacking it. I think he should have just been able to turn it on and press the button.
That's what
right?
I
I
also
don't.
think. I'm like,
I was like, bro,
okay,
it's a touch screen.
no, it's not working. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Right.
Like,
So Record just jumped on it, and that was fine.
yeah. So
Um,
eventually it works, but like,
it was
what
also
if it
like
doesn't
jammed.
work?
Yeah, but that was funny. Yeah, so Wrecker and Hunter get in a little firefight in Dooku's office and escape. While Omega Tech and Echo are trapped in the doors. They decide that when they first hear of an attack, the clones said to take off with the ship of all of Dooku's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Wrecker, or not Wrecker, Tech, Echo, and Omega are stuck in the ship. So like, oh, we're gonna go find an escape pod. They go to get an escape pod. But this is like when the clones are like countering them and like thinking, being smart, being good, interesting enemies, are like, oh, we're gonna jettison all these escape pods.
Yeah.
And like that was the moment I was like, oh, like they're like this is an actual like a formidable opponent. Like it was just really cool.
Finally, a worthy
I know.
opponent.
And well, no, I know. Finally, like, you know, having your like almost like your stock enemies like think,
Mhm.
and like not even do it like they're never like, oh, this is kind of like they do with like Thrawn or something like, oh, this is Captain Wilco. He's like top strategist. He's the greatest. Like blah blah blah. He's just another clone captain. But he's smart because they are smart. Um, that was
Which
cool.
confuses me as to why they stopped that production of clones.
Monies.
Like, but like it the Empire steals so much money in general,
It
you
does.
know?
I think
Like,
it's partially. I think it's partially hubris and also like the idea of like, because they're all wearing
disconnecting.
stormtrooper armor. It's like, if someone wants to rise up against their stormtrooper armor, like what if that's like their daughter in that armor? What if that's their brother in that armor?
Hmm.
Like like I think like part of the reason, and I read this in one of the stories in one novel or book or something in a Star Wars thing, but it called the Clone Wars a war without cost for some worlds because no one was like getting inscripted. It was created clones who had no family outside of other clones, no outside connections unless they made them when they were deployed against an army of battle droids, which are built in a factory, So, like, when the clone, like, people, obviously, there are worlds who suffered and people who died in the Clone Wars, but like for a lot of the galaxy, you don't hear like, oh, like my uncle was a soldier in the Clone Wars and died. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think that's part of it too. Like, like you want to raise a stone against a stormtrooper, but what if that was like your neighbor's kid? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes it a war with a cost, unlike the Clone Wars. I mean, and
Mhm.
then you also have like people like Tarkin who were high up who just didn't like clones.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't know. I just think with this very specific example of like I don't know, like I thought fighting the clones was really just cool and interesting because
Mm-hmm.
like they were just smart. That's it. Like they still lost, but dang, they like tried their best.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
And they
uh,
only really lost because it was like other clones too,
yeah.
you know?
To everyone else, they could have definitely probably won, but these are
Hmm.
also like elite
Right.
clones.
These are not even just like clones, like they're like elite, specially trained, specially armed clones.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the part like, they kind of went over this in season one, it's just partially, I mean, you have people who just don't like clones who have a belief in like, it's almost like like a prejudice, like you're a lab baby. Like I'm a true-blooded
I'm
like
a real
person,
baby.
you know what I mean? I mean, it's the same way like the top strategist that the Empire had was Thrawn, but still you have a lot of the Imperials being like, I don't want to work with any aliens. Aliens suck. Aliens are stupid, and shooting themselves in the own foot because of how proud they are,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's part
But
of the whole Empire's whole thing. They're so proud that they just
yeah. I
you
hope
know what I
we
mean?
continue to see as long as we can of like uh you know the just the clones. Like for as long as we have Bad Batch, I hope we continue to fight against clones. Like sad
I
because some of
you
them might
know,
die, but
I would like to fight with some more clones. Um, I think that's a way we could be headed
hmm
too. We'll see how Cody goes, when
Uh-huh.
he turns up. Because he was saying, some clones are doubting the order.
hmm
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this first episode ends when Omega, remembering from her studies, is like, oh, we can just detach all of the cargo containers and get in one, and then, it'll have little like re-entry jets that'll help it land softer.
hmm
And so they do that, and then that like first episode ends with them falling. So we get the second episode still falling. While Wrecker and Hunter like sneaking through the city, through the bombed out city. Um, so the three in the container, they land on the edge of a cliff, and oh my god, a box like lands on Tech's leg.
Do the
But
Nemec.
I was like so traumatized by Nemec. I was like, oh my god, no.
I I
That
thought
was
it was
crazy.
so funny because I was watching it with my parents. Or no, not my parents. Just like I was just watching it and I just was like it just went bah and I was like
No, I was so, and what's crazy is if that hadn't happened in Andor, I would have been like, oh no, like poor Tech got hurt. But since Nemec, I was like, oh my god, is he okay? I was like freaking out for a second. I
I
was like,
don't understand like Star Wars logic of people getting
listen,
hurt and dying sometimes. Cause like
that's kind of how life is, though.
I know, but like sometimes it's like, oh, that guy got shot in the face and he's alive. That guy got shot in the leg and he died. And I'm like, why?
To
What
be fair,
happened?
though, I feel like you always hear in the news, like you hear one story and it's like man falls 600 feet and rolls through rocks, survives with minor injuries. And then you hear another story that's like man like
Slipped in the shower and
slips
died.
and like he like hit a part of his back wrong, dead instantly. That's just how I think that's what bodies are like.
I don't understand
They're very
bodies.
particular. They're very particular.
Yeah, I don't like bodies. They just I I can't keep up. Like and so the second time I was watching it because I was waiting, I forgot like what part specifically he got crushed, and it's like the end part where it's the last part of them falling, and it's just like yeah, the Nemec. I'm just gonna call it every time someone gets like destroyed or like killed by a crate or just something really heavy. I'm just gonna call it the Nemec.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
poor
like
guy.
scary. I didn't realize I was like traumatized by what happened to Namek, but I was like totally freaked out. Like, oh my god, Tech just, because it like cuts away after. I'm like, oh my god, Tech just died.
Yeah,
Like second episode, Tech just died.
yeah.
That was
Funeral second episode.
right. Episode 3, funeral time. Yeah,
But
that was crazy. And
it was
it's like
funny and
I said, like
horrifying.
if there was no Nemec, it wouldn't have been like I've been like, oh no, poor Tech, that hurts. Because
Yeah.
after Nemec, I was like, oh my god, he's dead. He's literally
He's like,
dead.
he died again in the same way. Do you think that they like
They need to get him to
think
Dr.
they
Quadpaw.
well because both happened. I'm not saying like oh like the two directors that worked like the one on Andor and the one for Clone Wars Day Filoni, they were like, hey, you're killing someone by getting crushed. Cool, I'm gonna do it right after you. like
I
like I
don't.
wonder, or like one day they were both sitting there like separate homes and stuff, and they were like, what if one of my characters dies with being crushed
I
or
like.
gets
I like to
hurt?
think they like come up with the idea separately, And then whatever like story group or producer, whatever person that like reads all the scripts. This is totally not how it works. This is in my brain how it works. Like
Uh-huh.
whatever person like reads all the scripts and like approves them, like noticed and was like, nice. And like
He
approved.
doesn't tell them anything. He's just
No, it
like,
doesn't say anything. And then like Jennifer Corbett watches Andor and she's like, huh.
Yeah, I think it's funny. They were just both in a silly, goofy mood at the exact same time while they were doing their shows.
They had the thought and wrote it at the exact same
Yes, that's what I believe. That's how I
time.
think it happened.
Absolutely. I think you're
But
so
yes,
right.
that happened. So he can't like he can walk, but it's like
Yeah,
very
he
bad.
like broke his leg.
Yeah.
Which a lot worse can happen. So we'll take
Yeah.
it. Yeah, we also have Hunter. So the clones are they're looking for the shipping containers. They're trying to find every shipping container and figure out which one the Bad Batch were in, while also looking for Hunter and Wrecker.
Mhm.
So Omega and Echo go to like leave the crate, and then Echo's like, "Oh, we're on a cliff." Um,
That's a little bit of a
Whoops.
problem.
Yeah, I think they like slide a little more down. They pull Tech out the rest of the way.
Yeah, they have to like tie him up and then like
Yes.
hoist him, like pull
Yes.
him because
Which was
he's a little
really
broken.
cute, like because I think Tech helps Omega get up earlier, like on the with the crabs from like getting up, and then she helps him get up from up the cliff, and he's cute.
Yeah,
Cute
very
little
cute. They
moment.
take care of each other. I don't know. I want to see like Tech and Omega like a little closer relationship, like especially if he's like teaching her something. I think that
Hmm.
would be really cute. Um,
Yeah, I feel like we have the most throughout season one, the most prominent relationships Omega had were with Hunter and Wrecker. And in these first two episodes, we got to see her relationship with Echo and Tech more. And I hope we
mhm.
continue to see more of that because it is really cute.
Yeah, just seeing her like interact with the whole family rather than just like specifically one, which is
Hmm.
still cool. I still love Hunter and Omega, like, but I think it's cool to have multiple choices there.
Yes. Um, yeah, so their comms are being watched. So Hunter says plan 00, so they all know not to use their comms.
Hmm.
They also find some guy following him named Romar Adele. And at first they're like, who are you? You're sketchy. Why are you following us in the woods?
Which is a fair point.
Yeah. But it
Um,
turns out he is a survivor of the bombs on Sereno.
mhm. Which
He
must
takes
suck
them
because like your whole town is like pretty much dead.
right.
Um,
So he takes them back to his little house. And
mhm.
he seemed like a very nice fellow. He helps
Yeah,
them out a little bit.
he
He's a
helps
little
them
sketchy.
out.
Well, and
Omega,
they're like then he's like, oh, and he's like not about the war, just like that's cursed because Omega wants to go back and get stuff.
which I think
Um,
is cool because like again, like the whole creepiness of like Dooku and him being
right.
dead, and they're like, that's cursed. Like the
No,
curse of Dooku.
when they like because they have those like Tales from Vader's Castle comics, I totally want like a Tales from like Dooku's castle, like
That
the
would be
haunted. Because
horrifying.
of course, while like Vader's castle is like Vader lives there. That's why it's so
Hmm.
scary. I want the haunted castle, the haunted Dooku castle with
Yeah,
the cursed treasure. Like, come on, cursed treasure?
it's
That's
like
so cool.
perfect. But yeah,
Yeah, and because he also said it's another like, remember, Dooku sucks. He's like, well, he also like he took stuff from his own people. Like
hmm,
Dooku, in the
he did not discriminate.
well in the audio drama especially, Dooku's like, I have to like lead my people and like be a blah 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 blah. And then of course when he gets corrupted, he's like, oh, people? I think you mean things I can steal.
Yeah, I have people lit.
He's like, I have people? You
No,
mean money?
no, Dooku, these are your people. You said they're my people.
He's
Got
like,
it. Yeah, yeah.
I have them.
Yeah.
Mine? They are mine. Yes?
But yeah, I the whole concept would be really cool. But and then
The
So
cursed treasure of Count Dooku.
yes, Count Dooku's ghost. Um, but yeah, I Omega wants to go back and get like more of the cursed treasure, which I feel like she should have just put it in her backpack already, but that's just me. But that's also because I carry a backpack everywhere I go and I have like 20 different things inside that I don't need at that one time or anything. But she could have put some stuff in there, but she didn't. Um, so Echo, goes to scout around outside of the house. In case anyone like is around, like any clone
Mhm.
troopers. And Omega was told to keep an eye on the old man. And so she goes down and he has like a basement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like a
basement.
little workshop thing to like fix
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
And he tosses her like a kaleidoscope. And she's like, oh, are there jewels in here? He's like, no, it's an illusion.
He's like, that's just
Um,
glass.
yeah, and he's like, she's like, oh, is it treasure? He's like, no, child, it's a toy. You know what that is? Um, so I thought that was cute. So like Omega, like Omega already had a toy, um, but now she has another one.
Lula,
Yeah.
who she was hugging earlier. We saw her in
Hmm.
the first episode. So
I
cute.
thought it was funny, especially because like in my head when she had the kaleidoscope, I was like, what? A kaleidoscope? I'm not five shapes and colors. But yeah, I thought that was very cute. So now she has a toy. But then the old man goes up and he has like what Tech called like a separatist archive.
Mhm.
And he's like, no, it's Serenian. It has like my culture, my history, like of my people in it. And I thought that was really cool. Especially because it's like, the people before the war, before they were turned into pretty much
Mhm.
separatists, or they, volunteered themselves to be a separatist.
Before they lived under a separatist rule.
Hmm. So, it was really cool, especially because Tech, even though he's really smart, like he was like, huh, I never thought of it like that. And I was like, see, you can learn something new all the time.
Mhm.
Um, I also liked what Tech said when Omega was like, oh, this is like a class 4 fighter or whatever. He was like, I am impressed. That was very cute. Um,
But he manages to fix it up for him. And while Tech and Roma are doing that, Omega takes the repelling cable and
mhm.
goes on a little adventure to get the war chest.
Yes.
Also, Wrecker and Hunter find some old separatist tanks, and Wrecker just like builds like a giant gun out of the like parts of the tank, which was really cool. Um, Wrecker just does not get credit. Have like Tech's like the smart techie one, but like that takes some tech knowledge and
Yeah.
skill. Like
Yeah,
that was smart.
I I did think that was really cool. Um, Especially because then he just had like a portable cannon, like
Yeah.
just ran around with it. I don't know if it killed any of the clones, but it definitely like, created some space for them to
I
escape.
He definitely killed at least one. There's no way. That
Yeah,
was a big
someone on
explosion.
accident, like he
I
was like,
mean,
"Oh, sorry."
and like really props to them for stunning this whole time. I'm glad they're doing that. But when you're getting shot at, sometimes
Yeah. I
you
mean,
just gotta.
it reminds me of like when Ahsoka like wasn't he she was like, no, I don't want to kill anyone. But then their like whole ship is collapsing and
She's like,
falling.
I don't want to kill anyone. I'll have Maul do it
Yeah,
instead.
and that too. And I was like,
That was
sure.
Maul was the canon in that scenario. Yeah.
Like I would rather die to Ahsoka than to Maul. That
I mean,
is horrifying.
Maul was making it pretty quick. Like the guy got cut in half. That was fast.
Yeah, but like Ahsoka wouldn't cut me. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how Ahsoka
She
would do it.
she could behead you.
I don't know.
She beheaded 4 Mandalorians at once.
But Ahsoka's less terrifying. I don't know. It's still scary. But yeah, someone might have died in the crossfire.
At least that ship he shot down. That
Yes,
pilot's gone. At
yeah, gone.
least.
Very dead.
There's definitely more than that. Yeah. So Echo, and we go back to the thing. So Echo comes back. He's like, "Oh, Omega's gone. I'm gonna go look for her." Tech also goes, but he is not going very fast
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah,
he
he
likes
says
to
like, "I'll
work.
catch up."
Yeah, I'll catch up. He's like barely moving. So Omega climbs down to uh the thing, and she's like filling her backpack with credits and little like jewels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then Echo comes down, but some clone troopers also find them and start shooting, and they end up cutting the cable that Omega had tied, so they can't really climb up. So then they're trying to get out otherwise. Tech catches up at this point. That was a really cool fight. Also,
Mm-hmm.
Tech versus those clones.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was pretty much a 1v5 fight, and
1v5 and Tech's at like half health.
yeah, pretty much. Like half health, like barely anything, doesn't even have an ult
All his
yet.
abilities are on cooldown.
Yeah. Like that's yeah, at this point he's a support during all of this.
Yeah, but he he did it.
Yeah, he really did.
He took him down, and then like another clone is like about to, and Tech grabs the like little cannon thing and just, or he was about to shoot the cannon thing, and Tech's just like, nah,
Yeah.
you can't get me. And then he falls over, which is fair.
Yeah. No, he
Um,
like he needed a nap.
no, but you know, he did his thing. Um,
Yeah.
Omega and Echo then are trying to climb up without the cable. And Omega drops her backpack
Mm-hmm.
and she's trying to go get it. She's really upset, and Echo's like, "We gotta go." And then Omega tells Echo what she heard, and Echo is like, "That's not what I meant. Like, I don't. We don't. No one regrets doing that. Like, getting you. It's It was a very sweet moment
Mm-hmm.
between them. Then Romar shows up, helps Tech, and they get everyone out. And then everyone escapes from the Marauder except Romar. He's staying because he has his house and stuff.
Yeah. Um yeah, so yeah.
And they
For
fly. They fly away.
and again, I like the reassurance that Echo
Hmm.
gives Omega, because that's the scene that when we were talking about the trailer together, I was like, man, I like that scene, little reassurance scene, very cute, very wholesome. And like seeing like what happened before that makes it like 10 times cuter and
Yes.
like sweeter.
And it was great because Echo, she obviously she misunderstood what he said, but there was no oh, like you misunderstood. It was like, oh, like that was my bad for wording it. Like that's not what I meant. Here's what I meant.
Yeah.
Just a very nice, mature conversation.
Yes.
It was very nice. And they fly away and they're like, oh, we don't have the stuff. Like we can do the mission.
It's
And he's
giving
like,
Bluey
yeah.
episode, but with more
They're
explosives.
like, like, oh, we can do the mission. Like, what are we gonna do? It's like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then the last scene, bruh, that was crazy.
Dude, like
I was like, oh my God, what?
it's so funny because in my head, like, okay, so this guy, he was in the first season. I don't remember
Admiral
his name.
Rampart.
Yes. He is a jerk, as usual, they all are. But he's like a jerk. And he goes up to the captain and is like, hey, like there was some mistakes in your report, like, Clone Force 99 are dead. They died like, last season. How dare you? um and the clone's like, no, I definitely saw them. That was most definitely freaking them. Um and he's like, okay, well, we're gonna need to take that off because if the Empire sees this, like, I'll get in trouble for it. And the clone, which, like, I can see why they also are no longer doing clones anymore, because clones are very, like, follow the rules. Like,
Mhm.
they don't, like,
You
they
can't
don't,
really bribe a clone,
yeah, they're not
you know,
corrupt people. Like, they're
except
built
Slick.
to, yeah.
All my homies hate
But
Slick. So yeah, otherwise.
usually they're not built to corrupt people. They are, like, built to follow orders, but not if it's like, hey, we're gonna cover this up, you know?
Even
Um,
then, it's not as much. I mean, obviously, Word 66, that's the whole thing. But
mhm,
like we see a lot, especially in the later season of Clone Wars, like they don't even just follow orders; they follow principles of who they are follow, like what they're being ordered to. But like on Bara, you know, they question orders,
mhm.
and we'll see. I'm sure we'll see later with Cody's arc more of that, and yeah, he's like, I don't want to. I'm not gonna falsify a report. And he's like, okay, I will, and then like shoots him in
I
the
have a
face,
gun. Boom.
shoots him in the face, and he falls down. I was like, oh my god.
I didn't know he fell down. I thought
No,
I
you didn't see him
literally
falling?
the first time I didn't. It was the, like, body is too small. The first time I was like, all right, there's just the body on the floor. Like, you're not gonna, like, hide it? Like, they're just gonna come by and be like, oh, what, wait, who killed this
What
guy?
happened?
Um, but no, the second time I watched it, I was like, oh no, his body is falling. That's a little corpse going down. Um,
That was crazy. I
yeah.
was already slightly emotionally attached to him. I don't know why. I get very emotionally attached to everyone. But I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy, and I'm so excited to see. I mean, this was the premiere. It's only gonna escalate from here, and that was like such a crazy moment. And it's again what I was talking about earlier, like the Empire cannibalizing itself. Like Captain Wilco was awesome. He
Yeah,
did a
like,
great job.
he
You
needed a
know,
promotion.
he got, obviously he didn't like they beat him, but barely. And like we know how like awesome the Bad Batch is. Like he was outsmarting them over and over again. And like
Mhm.
the only things that really beat him were when they ejected every single thing of cargo and when Wrecker pulled out the cannon, like but like he was like he was
Yeah.
really good. But because you have this one Imperial who doesn't want to get in trouble and is too proud to admit that he might have made a mistake, they don't, that's like an asset that they've lost. Like
Mhm.
thinking from their perspective, obviously, RIP. But like
Yeah.
from the Imperial perspective, like they just threw an asset in the garbage because
Mhm.
one guy didn't want to get in trouble. And that,
Which
but and like,
I don't even know if you would get that much in trouble, but, like, there's still that fear with the Empire. It doesn't
right,
matter. Like, you could die with the smallest mistake.
yeah, and that, I mean, it's this hubris that we see in so much in Rebels, and I mean in the original trilogy, Rogue One, Solo, Andor, very much in Andor. It's like it's cannibalizing itself because you have all these people who are attracted to the power that the Empire offers are also very proud and let that
Mhm.
get in the way. It's the same thing where you have like Daedra, and everyone's like, "Oh, Daedra, what are you talking about?" But she's like the best one. Like she's the closest to solving it. But they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're crazy. Get out, like stay in your area." Like what? It's it's so interesting to see like those things. Like obviously the rebel victory over the Empire was, the rebel effort and how hard they fought and they strategized. It was also because like the Empire sucked at what it did a lot of the time. And
Mhm.
it's so interesting. Oh my gosh. Think about
Yeah,
all
It's bad. But it's also just again like it kind of like just seeing the Empire versus the Rebellion like we did in Andor. Um, you know, the Empire are going to always fight with each other. They're always going to try to get rid of each other for some reason, just to because they want to be the best or they want to be recognized and all that. But then the rebellion, they're bickering, with Saw and like Mothma and stuff. But those relations that's a bad example because those relationships don't really come together anyway. But they all come together in
Mhm.
the end. They put aside their differences or they put aside their like um just like biases and they're like, okay, if we do want to beat the Empire, we do have to work together. Like seeing one group learn from their mistakes and learn and like evolve to destroy another organization that cannot and will not and refuses to evolve is super cool. And like it's cool. I like seeing it. um but it also sucks. Like rest in peace, that clone trooper.
No, R.I.P. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, you know, I think it's so like Star Wars is so like interpersonal, but it's also these like big ideas that come to
Mm-hmm.
play. Like we even see maybe not as much the like cannibalizing itself, like the Empire aspect, but like the New Republic, because and this is mostly stemming from Mon Mothma, but because of fears of becoming the new Empire, and they're scared of, they're scared of how people will react and stuff, they end up being underprepared to fight the First Order and like stuff like that. And it's so interesting to you know, see all
Yeah.
those things come to play. And it's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it's scary because it relates to real life. It's like it happens there too.
mhm.
Um, yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I'm very excited to see the next few episodes since we have 16, 14 now, but very, very excited for this.
Yes, we have, I think, the next episode coming. I can look at our notes from the last time we podcasted because I wrote all the episodes there. The next one we have coming is called, The Solitary Clone.
Hmm. Do you
That's
think that's going to be about Cody or like
it could
someone
be
in a bad
Cody.
batch?
It could be Cody. Could be
Mm-hmm.
Crosshair.
Mm-hmm.
Could be like Wolf or Gregor.
Mm-hmm.
Could be Rex. It could be anyone. Could be Hauser. Maybe Hauser's like in jail in like solitary confinement. We get Hauser back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, could be a lot of clips. See, it's only one, could be any one.
Yeah. I
Man,
don't know.
that's crazy. Yeah, so Wednesday, we only get one episode. Um, so that's okay. Still an episode. And I'm very excited. I'm so happy the Bad Batch are back. I thought the first season was just such great storytelling. A lot of interesting things explored as far as clones and like post the ramifications of the Clone Wars after the Imperial takeover. And I'm excited to see more of that this season. I know, last season there was tons of unexpected beloved characters turning up. And we
Mm-hmm.
already know we have some beloved characters coming up in this season, and we have Gunji and Cody to look forward to, plus probably some more I can't think of right now. And those are the ones they've told us. I'm excited to see the
Mm-hmm.
surprises too.
Yeah.
Be very, very fun.
Yes. And they'll be coming out every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday.
Every
It's
Wednesday.
every Wednesday. And I think we're getting 2 episodes again, like mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which two. And then 2 episodes again for the maybe the finale's not 2 episodes. I think it's 2 episodes for the finale too. Not 100% sure.
Okay. Sounds fun.
Well, I guess we'll go over Star Wars Geek Girl things. StarWarsGeekGirl.com. It is a website. It has a poll and questions and quizzes and articles and things. Twitter, Instagram at SW Geek Girl. The Facebook page is just Star Wars Geek Girl. And obviously you know where to listen to the podcast if you're hearing this.
Yes. For the Rogue Rebels, you have the roguerebels.com. We also have a website. That is our website. Very cool website. Instagram and TikTok at the Rogue Rebels. Twitch at Rogue Rebels. Podcast wherever you're listening to Star Wars Geek Girl. My dad is very proud of the playlists he has created for each episode that we do, like different shows or movies or books, comics and stuff. Facebook page is the Rogue Rebels and Twitter at Rogue Rebels Fam. I believe he's still on Hive at Rogue Rebels.
Yes, we're also on Hive at SW Geek Girl, although I haven't really gone on Hive because I tried. It was like a couple weeks. I could not get on it. I just gave up and then forgot it existed.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I was Zoe.
I was Lizzie.
Thank you for listening to Star Wars Geek Girl. May the Force be with you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.